Let's welcome our guest, Foluso Olapo. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Foluso Olapo.
Yes, good morning this morning, Olumide and Vivian.
Good morning.
Thank God it's Friday. How are you? You guys are looking, it seems you are not in Nigeria. Wow. This hardship doesn't even reach you.
Well, we're trying to encourage Nigerians. I mean, that's why we are here. We try to motivate them in all of the hardship.
I'm sure Foluso is doing very well too. And it's always a pleasure to have you join us. So let's hit the ground running, right? I would like to ask, how has the renaming of the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to the Ministry of Regional Development impacted regional governance?
To me, I don't think there's any difference with regional governance and whatever. It's just a halfway or a half-smart way of doing what is right. In a way to want to do it from the side of the federal government controlling the regions. What we've been calling for is a restructure that will give each of the regional governments their supposedly quote and unquote independence, where they will have to govern according to their tradition and understanding of governance. For instance, if we go back to history, we see in the Western region, there's this checks and balance on their ruler. The Alaafin is not an autocrat. They cannot do anything dictatorially. The Oyomesi is there to check him, and if he do anything dictatorially, they can tell him to open calabash, meaning to get out of the place for another person. Then in the north, we have this fact that they have always been around, power has always been around their leaders. So there's no some check and balance as it's in the west. So we can see this, that it is not a new thing to practice checks and balance as it is in our constitution today. But when federal government are creating regional commissions, we have the South being approved yesterday by the House. The Southwest, the Northwest, in fact, all that. And today I think I heard from the papers, the House stating that the state have to be contributing 15% of their income into that fund for federal government to be spending on their behalf through the regional government, the regional commissions. I don't think there's anything like that. The state did not tell federal government to create regional government on their behalf, and to that extent, they cannot force them or make a law, forcing them to contribute anything to them. They created it, and they should be managing it. So, if you want a federal, a regional government, let us go back to the basis and instill it on our constitution that going forward, like the Republican Constitution, which provided for regionalism in our constitution, I think a new constitution should be made to include regional government. So whether a name change or whatever, it's not going to work. It can't work. It's just a way of government, especially federal government, giving some boys some things to eat.
Quite interesting the way you put it. Now let's look at the dissolving of the sport ministry. First of all, what are the implications of merging the Ministry of Tourism with Arts and Culture? I know tourism in Nigeria is nothing to write home about, but one more important thing is the dissolving of the sport ministry. The sport ministry too has not been doing well. So what are the implications of this?
Yeah, you see, I don't really like the merging or the scrapping of the sport ministry, for instance, especially because the National Sports Commission is supposed to be the operative aspect of sport, while Ministry of Sports is supposed to be the policy part of it. So there are two different things and that they do. And sport is a money spinner all over the place. Goes everywhere weekend. see how people, irrespective of the hardship,
Yes.
people are still paying even to watch matches. That's just football. Now talk of tennis and every other type of sport, especially. So it is just, doing the same thing in a new way, like putting an old wine in a new bottle, as it were. So it's not going to change. We're still going to have the bureaucracy continuing, even in the new National Sports Commission.
Okay, because I was going to say that the Sports Commission is the one that's going to be handling anything sports now. But, you said you don't like the merging of tourism and arts. So I'd like to ask a broader question. What else don't you like about this cabinet reshuffle? Note that it is a bigger cabinet now. In fact, we just read in our intro that President TINUBU'S cabinet is actually bigger than that of his predecessor, former President Muhammadu Buhari. Do you like the fact that it's a bigger cabinet and then you have a livestock ministry now?
In fact, that is laughable, livestock ministry. When we have a bigger ministry of agric, so are we going to have a ministry of pastoral farming, a ministry of groundnut, a ministry of maize, a ministry of corn? Because these are other parts of agricultural something. So I do not, it's just to me, so like I said, I was not excited when I heard the cabinet reshuffle. And in fact, I was not disappointed because I was not expecting a new thing, even from this administration. And they did not disappoint me. It's just, telling some people to go off so that others can come. It is their turn, like Mr. President has said. So some people have to eat, and this is the opportunity, and that is why the enlargement of the cabinet is still going on, irrespective of the fact that Nigeria, is going through a hardship. Now, I heard you saying that that was why they said the reduction in the cars and the convoy of ministers, but I do not think that is right. Mr. President has said that severally. In fact, if you could remember, I think January this year, that I said the reduction of convoys and everything, including himself, and he was the first that started it too. I think he came to Lagos with over 200 cars. So what's that for? So I do not think this administration is actually connected to the people that is supposed to be leading. They thought the money is there. Of course, because of the removal of subsidy, more money is coming in, and they have to spend those money. So I do not blame him. At least that is what he knows. And that is how he knows how money to be spent. But of course, if he had had the interest of the people in mind, it would have, to me, a reduction of the ministry would have been a better one than increasing it again. Removing 5 and appointing about 7. Today the ministry the ministers goes to about 51. So what for? Why? So I don't think Mr. President actually getting the pulse of the people. He's doing what he thinks he likes to do, and he's enjoying himself. Such and simple.
All right, thank you very much. Now, one would think that this cabinet reshuffle would actually touch some very sensitive and key areas or sectors of the government. I mean, finance, defense, and insecurity and all that. But we found out that these ministers were retained. I mean, on the papers this morning, one of the writers said that the reason why President Tinubu retained the Minister of Finance was that allegations of his connivance with bandits were said to be untrue. That was why he retained the Minister of Defense. Also, ministers of Finance too were also retained. So my question is, what does Tinubu's decision to keep the ministers of Finance, Defense, National Planning indicate about his policy priorities?
These are his boys, we know. The Finance Minister, for instance, the Matawali and co. These are people that helped bring him to power. So he will have to quote and unquote Sonjo. So he will have a way of paying back even to them. The Minister for Finance, for instance, was not touched, which I was not surprised about, because he is is a student of Tinubu himself, the laissez-faire student, where everything has to be left for markets to be controlling. And that is what he's doing. So he's doing what he says he should be doing. Then the ones that actually, surprise me is this marine and blue economy. That place is so silent, and it's a money spinner too.
Yes.
Communication and innovation and whatever. That's another money spinning thing. In fact, there are about 3 or 4 of them. Okay, mineral resources. So these are some ministries that are supposed to be generating a whole lot of money to this nation, and they are very quiet. And yet, Mr. President did nothing concerning them. So to me, like I said, I was not expecting a new thing, and I was not disappointed that he did not bring a new thing. So it's just one of the things. I've known him, and I know what he can do at any time. So when I was telling people that they should not expect a new form of governance after going forward, they said I was too pessimistic concerning this government. But at the end of the day, they came back to me and tell me that, wow, that's what you have just said. Nothing is going to change.
What about Uju Kennedy, the Minister of, I think, is it Women Affairs? Women Affairs, yes. Some people said, arguably, that she was doing well. She was fighting for the people. Our analyst, I think, yesterday said it's her approach towards some certain matters. I mean, on one occasion when she went and she spoke when she was not supposed to speak, that it's probably her approach that was interpreted wrong. What do you think about her replacement?
Yes, I think that's a very disadvantageous for this country. She is one of the postal ladies for this administration, like Mr. Tunjojo of Interior and the rest, and some of them like that we can mention. So that was changed. In fact, I don't know. 2 things, maybe, for instance, what the analyst said, maybe he overstepped her boundaries. Or secondly, that is not really connected to the person who knows the person. So I don't know. To be sincere, I don't know why she should be changed, and it was so disappointing.
All right, former humanitarian minister, what's her name now? Betaidu, who was suspended for a case involving corruption and all, was sacked eventually, right? So this begs the question, how might the appointment of the new ministers for humanitarian and poverty reduction, trade and investment, and labor help address Nigeria's economic and social challenges?
See, it is not those ministries. It's going to the basis, the beginning, the understanding of what is wrong with this country. Whether if Mr. President did not believe that people are hungry, that there's no wealth, they are not making wealth, because it is wealth of a nation that makes the Committee of Nations to respect the nation. But Nigeria as a country is not making any wealth. We are just making money. There's a difference between the two. When you are making money and you are not spreading that money for other monies to be coming in, for investment, then you are not doing anything. You are just getting money and spending. That is nothing. So there should have been it's a systemic thing. Mr. President has to go back, step back, look at what he's doing, whether he's creating wealth for the people. You see, this is what I argued during his electionary campaign, when I was asked in an interview that I spent most of my work lives in Lagos, and one of those times was when Mr. Tinubu himself was governor of Lagos State, and he was making money, but he was not distributing those money, what we call social justice. He was not making wealth. He was not creating wealth. People, I don't know how to say it, but people are not investing in ways that can be bringing, like the private companies, have to now begin to employ people even to them. But of course, Lagos government is making money, and Lagos government is employing people, but employment shouldn't be a government thing, at least alone. The private organizations too should be involved. And if the private organizations are making money, then to that extent, wealth will be redistributed to everybody. So, and this is what is happening in the country now. The country is making a whole lot of money, but they're not generating wealth. It is government and government that will just spending. People, companies are dying daily, multinationals are leaving. So it means that there's nothing happening. At the end of the day, you will see by the time this government comes to an end, maybe in 2027 or 2030, I don't know, then you will still be back in that point where we were. Except there's a change, there's a drastic change of action where whatever comes is being redistributed so that wealth can be created right from the basis, right from the grassroots, even up to the top. It's not just government spending, no. Okay. The organized private sector should be involved too.
Right. Now, as we are rounding up, one of the key ministry that has a vacuum, or well, alleged vacuum, is the petroleum ministry. I know they say the president doubles, and we also have the Minister for Petroleum for State also. But why has the president delayed the appointment of a petroleum minister, and what are the potential consequences for Nigeria's energy sector?
You see, one of the reasons this hardship factors is because we did not have a substantive petroleum minister, a minister that understands petroleum and crude oil politics. Mr. President is too busy to occupy that position. And that is one of the changes that people were expecting, even from this cabinet reshuffle. But I told people too that it will not come. It's not even me. If I can read the mind of Mr. President, I know it will not come. So because of his own personal interest in that place too. So he cannot, you cannot be in the river and be complaining of food or too much water, coming into you. So he's in the river now, and he's doing things that are of his own best interest. Whether his best interest is the interest of Nigerians or not, he didn't care. So in as much as his own best interest. And that is why we are having a whole lot of things not working at the petroleum sector. But if he's able, to be like a statesman, at least for once, and get somebody that knows the politics of crude oil, even into that position, maybe a technocrat or whoever, to man that place, then the ministers of state for those two, for gas and petrol, will be reporting to the person. So 247, the man will be on ground and will be able to go all through this. Mr. President cannot be the president and commander-in-chief of Nigeria Armed Forces and still continue to be the petroleum minister. It will clash, because he has a whole lot of things to do on his table. So he may not even have time to read the memos that come from the petroleum ministry because of some other things that he has to be doing. So maybe going forward, if he has to change his mind, my recommendation is to have somebody there as the substantive minister of petroleum. Because the minister of state cannot do nothing. They have to report to the minister of petroleum before they can even carry out whatever. So, and there's nobody to report to. So those memos have to be on their table without nobody, attempting to solve it. It's unfortunate.
All right, I think that's a safe place to land. You have been very brilliant. We do appreciate your thoughts this morning. Do have yourself a lovely weekend.
You too. I wish you the same. And Vivian?
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Foluso. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.